The White Mountain National Forest. 1,225 square miles of wilderness, waterfalls, epic hikes, and one of the best places to view the fall foliage in the United States. In this video, I'll outline a 3-day itinerary, including when to visit for peak color, how to get there and how to get around, where to stay, what to see, and options for accommodations. This video is designed to cover multiple price points, levels of hiking expertise, and a wide array of things to do and accommodation types that should fit anyone's personal taste or travel style. This is Brew England, a channel dedicated to all things New England culture, adventures, and beer. Timing peak foliage can be tricky since it will be different every year. Statistically speaking, your best bet might be the second week of October, but there's no guarantee. You'll want to look at projected forecasts like the one provided by Visit New Hampshire and plan accordingly. If you're the type who likes to book 6 months in advance for everything, you might want to hold off. I feel your pain. However, some of the popular accommodations and attractions book up fast, so you might not want to wait until the last minute either. It's a balance. If you're a little early, it's still going to be beautiful. If you're unlucky, a big windstorm could come along and cut autumn foliage seasons short. Also, consider visiting during the week. Despite the wilderness nature of the White Mountains, there are sections known for bad traffic caused by tourists stopping in the middle of the road for photos and lining up for crowded viewpoints, backing up traffic for miles on some weekends. If you're hoping to do the top hikes and attractions, you can avoid the worst of the crowds by visiting during the week, or just by getting up earlier. Just note that not all attractions are open 7 days a week, so keep that in mind. If you want to experience magnificent foliage without the crowds, consider visiting the Northeast Kingdom in Vermont, the Great North Woods north of the White Mountains, and the Carrabassett Valley in Maine. However, there's not going to be as many amenities or attractions in these more secluded areas. Weather can be all over the place in the New England fall. I would prepare for 40s, 50s, or 60s, so break out your sweatshirts and flannel. It could rain, or even snow if you're unlucky, so bring a rain jacket at the very least. If you're planning to do any serious hiking, you'll want a good pair of hiking boots or trail runners and moisture-wicking clothing. If you're planning on hiking above treeline, you'll want to bring a winter coat, gloves, and a warm hat. It might be 60s and sunny at the trailhead, but could easily be in the 20s with 45-mile-per-hour winds with icy snow on the higher peaks. Always check the high summit mountain forecast beforehand. Every year, people die being unprepared for the elements and conditions, so be informed and stay safe. Of course, that's not a worry if you're planning to stay below tree line. Also, you likely won't have great cell phone receptions in many parts of the White Mountains. Make sure you download your maps and Spotify playlists beforehand. The most popular option to get to the White Mountains is going to be flying into Boston and renting a car. One of the things they don't tell you about Boston is within 2 hours you can go from crowded city to lush wilderness just by driving up the I-95 into the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Other options do include flying into Manchester or Portland, Maine, but these are much smaller airports with more limited options. You can also fly into Burlington, Vermont if you're planning a longer road trip across northern New England. If you don't drive, you're going to be limited. You could take a Concord coach line to a number of points in the White Mountains, including Conway, Lincoln, Littleton, or Gorham, but you'll be limited to hikes/attractions in the immediate area without further planning. If you have a car, getting around will be super easy. You can better time your adventures to avoid crowds and access a greater variety of attractions and hikes. I would make sure to carry cash at times. Some of the trailheads do require payment and cash is preferred, though there is an option to pay online once you have cell phone service. However, it is good to note that Appalachian Mountain Club does offer shuttles to popular trailheads and also stop in Gorham and Lincoln. Shuttles cost $24 and reservations are highly recommended. With some planning, you could take a Concord bus up from Boston and then get around via AMC shuttle. Alternatively, you can always book a private tour. Day tours out of Boston start at $145 and can go up to $300 per person. I found a 2-day tour out of Boston with stops in both White Mountains and Lake Winnipesaukee with golden bus tours, but couldn't find a price. You also have the Meredith Scenic Railroad, which goes from Meredith in the Lakes region of New Hampshire all the way up to Lincoln. At any rate, as the title of the video suggests, I will assume you have a car and are going on a road trip. I'm going to break the White Mountain National Forest into 4 regions: Lincoln, Woodstock, and Franconia Notch, Littleton and Crawford Notch, Gorham and Pinkham Notch, and North Conway and the Concomongus Highway. Each of these are small idyllic towns with a good selection of restaurants, bars, and shops. If you're the type of person who wants to walk to a local coffee shop in the morning or walk to a bar after a day of adventuring, you'll probably want to stay in town. In these towns, you'll find cozy inns as well as big-name hotel chains, as well as some resorts. In between towns, in the more rural areas, you'll find plenty of campsites, cozy mountain inns, as well as cabins to rent if you want something more quiet and secluded. The areas for the best vistas and views are Franconia Notch, Crawford Notch, Pinkham Notch, and the Concomongus Scenic Highway. You can start anywhere in this loop, but assuming you're coming from Boston up I-95, the charming towns of Lincoln and North Woodstock is a natural starting point, which will be covered in part 2 of the series.